So low back pain is so common and so prevalent, and spinal pain in general, that I'm going to put together a series of videos that show you the right posture and the right strengthening exercises to build you a strong, stable core. So today we're going to go through 3 different variations of something that you may have never learned about before. Most people haven't, and it's what we call a neutral spine. And a neutral spine is where your spine is strong and healthy, and it'll last you for 80 or 90 or 100 years if you take care of it properly. So we're going to teach you about that in this video, and in the next 3 clips we're going to show you strengthening exercises to get that low back and spine strong and stable. Does that sound like a good thing to do? Of course it does. So I have our model, Kaylee. Thank you, Kaylee, for helping us out today.
No problem.
And Kaylee's going to run through these exercises. You can watch and practice and watch and practice. The first thing I want you to notice is we all spend a lot of time sitting. And if you go into just a very relaxed, slouchy posture, do you notice what that does to the full spine? Well, of course. Puts pressure, 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 right? So a strong back doesn't look like that. What I'll ask you to do, and what I'll ask Kaylee to do as a demonstration, is slide forward. So you're going to pretend your chair is only a few inches deep, and that's going to force you to sit on your sit bones. And do you know why they're called sit bones, everybody? You're supposed to sit on them. And you know what happens when you sit on your sit bones? Look, hips, shoulder, ear in a nice straight line. That's a strong, stable posture. Okay. Now, more specifically, I'm going to ask Kaylee to rock back and forth a little bit on those sit bones, which is going to take the spine into flexion and into extension. Okay. A little bit technical, but I'll show you exactly what that looks like. It's rounding the back out and then coming really tall. Okay. Now, what I want you to grasp here is neither one of those is very healthy on your back. But as you can see with Kaylee, she's got this incredible range of motion in her back. It can go really far, and so should yours. Now, what I'm going to ask Kaylee to do is I'm going to get her to think to stop halfway between those 2 ranges. And that's what we call a neutral spine. Okay? So neutral spine is strong and healthy, and all of your exercise therapy for your back should be based around that neutral spine. Okay? Got that? Okay. Perfect. Now we're going to do 2 more, but they're both going to be on the yoga mat, so I'll ask Kaylee to pop the chair away. Now, the reason these videos are so important is because this is stuff most people have never learned before, but it's so foundational in keeping your back and your spine healthy. Okay? Each of these is going to grow a little more technical, so follow along, pay attention. So I get Kaylee to lie flat on her back. Her knees are bent so her pelvis stays flat. Same thing you can do with your low back now. On the mat, it's going to be pressing your low back flat into the ground, okay? And then coming up all the way. Okay? So when you're up, you have a ton of space down here, and when you're flat, you have none. So again, you're taking your back through that flexion extension cycle. And what I'm going to ask Kaylee to do one more time is to stop when she thinks she's right in the middle. And again, that's what we call neutral spine. Okay. Now, what I'd love you to do now that you're in neutral spine and you're getting a good idea of what a healthy spine should feel like, I'm going to ask you to turn all those muscles on. Okay. So Kaylee, pretend I'm going to drop something onto your stomach. What would you do?
I'd flex to embrace it.
Perfect. If someone was going to drop a bowling ball on your stomach, you would want to brace really fast, right, to protect yourself, right? So what happens is we call this bracing, and this is nature's back belt, okay? So when you brace, everything's going to feel a whole bunch tighter through those abdominals. And the key thing here is to watch you don't change that neutral spine. Because that's the most common thing. As soon as your muscles go tight, your spine gets pulled out of neutral and you're going to hurt yourself. So what you want to be careful about here, because this is the most fundamental thing in this program so far, is you get neutral and then you brace. Kaylee's doing this really well because this hand is making sure her spine does not move. This hand is just feeling those muscles tighten. Your back is incredibly strong when it's neutral and braced like this. Okay? Now the third one gets even a little more technical. It's going to be on all fours. So Kaylee can pop up on your hands and knees. On the hands and knees, we're going to ask you to make sure that your arms and your legs are vertical like this. But notice what you can do with your low back here. You can go to quite an extreme range of motion in flexion, good, and in extension. Okay. See how far that low back can move? And we all have a spine like this. But what the take-home message of this is, look how much that low back affects the neck. Right? Just like that seated posture. Getting your spine strong and stable here is going to affect your whole back. That's back pain, headaches, mid-back pain, the whole thing. But now we're going to ask Kayla, because she's learning really quickly what that neutral spine is, to stop in neutral spine. Okay? And now here's the thing. That bowling ball analogy doesn't work when you're on all fours, but the exact same thing applies where I'll ask perfect. You get to squeeze your core, being very careful that you don't change the angle of the spine. So I'll get you to relax your core again, healthy low back, squeeze, brace those abdominals, and that's how we start building a really strong back. Okay, thank you so much. So, thank you, Kaylee. So, a couple quick things here before we round up is you definitely want to subscribe to our channel, Reform Body Clinic, because we're going to have a few videos in this series that are going to build on what you've just learned today. You can also feel free to share or comment on which of these you found easy, or which of these exercises you find really difficult. Okay, so the thing is, I wanted to put these out there on video because I do teach a lot of people in the clinic these exact exercises. So stay tuned for the next 3. Thank you.